Hey everyone, welcome back to the node concept, and today we are starting on with the vector nodes finally. And yeah, these need a really deep explanation and research, so we did make some tutorials for quite a few days. And now as we are starting with the vectors, and today we'll be doing the texture coordinate node. And yeah, we did some research online, so if you want to read about the textures, vectors, from other sources, something like different from our videos, you can always switch to the Blender online manual. You can go to blender.org and select manual, then go to renders and cycles and nodes and things like that. You can just navigate around that. It's really simple. You can just read about all nodes over there. And also there is this guy Andrew Price and Blender Guru. He's the owner of Blender Guru. He has, with the help of Greg Zal, he has written the cycles inputs encyclopedia. You can read about all the texture, all the vector nodes which are there in the input tab in the texture, in the node editor, sorry. So you can read about that. We use this and this, both of them, as our reference to make the tutorials. And we also did take help from some awesome artists online. So let's begin. Today we have is the texture coordinate. So back to node editor and shift A, input and texture coordinate. We're gonna input that over here. Now it has a hell lot of what do you call that, vector output. So, and a thing over here which says object actually. So it was quite compressed over there. Alright, okay, so we're gonna delete everything and add in a UV sphere, grab it on the X somewhere like there, and add a subsurf, smooth it, and a plane, and as well as a cube. So we'll grab this over here and a cube. Alright, so we have three objects over here to compare with, and we're gonna use them. Alright, so alright, and we're gonna select that old material and give it as well, and this as well. Okay, alright, now if you press Ctrl Shift and left click on the texture coordinate, it will connect this to and viewer node. So now you can press you can press Shift Z, and you will see is these random colors. Yay, looks quite nice on the UV sphere. Alright, so this actually is a generated texture coordinate. So if you have a mesh which is having a mesh texture but you have not unwrapped the image, so for example if we have our plane over here, it's not yet unwrapped, let's just add in a texture, image texture over here. Alright, connect that and open up a texture. So let's see, any texture will do. Some nice texture over here we have. Okay, let's go with the background again. Alright, so now you can see, oops, sorry, there is nothing much to see actually. We don't have a lamp. Let's add a lamp. Right. Okay, oops, and let's just, okay, let's go. And you can see we don't have, actually are able to see the image texture over here. That is because it is not unwrapped. Now if we unwrap it like this, and now you can see the image is showing on this plane but not on these. This is because of the unavailability of the UV map. So the generator, what it does is it generates a UV if you don't have one. So if I connect this to the vector over here on the image, then you can see, ta-da! Now we have a really weird looking UV map which is generated itself by Blender to fill up the UV space of our objects over here. So next, this is what it does. And yeah, so next comes the normal. So normal does not actually give you a UV space. What it does is actually give you the normal. So on the cube you can see there are three different colors on the three faces, and the rest faces are black. So if you can see over here, right, so you can see three colors of the axis. So Z is denoted by blue, and Y by green, and X by red. So you can see over here the Y and the X, right? Now if you press Shift Z, you'll see is this red color denoting to the red axis, blue to the Z, and green to the Y. So this is how it is working. So, and that's why it's showing these three colors. And on the UV sphere, you can see there are like 6 different colors and a black. So this is because of the blend between the blue and the green over here, which causes the cyan color, and over here you will see the purple color due to blue and red, and over here you will see kind of a white color because of the mix of all the three. Down here you'll see yellow, and over here you will see black because all the black portions are getting mixed over here, and that will give you a black color. So this is what normal is doing. Now you can normal, what it can be used for is to add dust to your particles. So you can separate the sorry, not RGB, separate the X, Y, Z, and you can use the Z axis to whichever use you need. So like adding dust, something like that, and things like that. So this is how normal works, and that's it. Next comes the UV. So it uses the UV coordinate that is there. So if you connect that over here, you will see is our UV texture. So if I just change this from the thing to UV editor, and I'll add in that image. Okay, so currently you can see this part is what is visible. I'll switch it to somewhere like here, and now you can see I can actually move it. So the UV is actually basically it's like not connecting anything over here at all. So UV uses the UV coordinates, and you don't need to actually add that to the vector, because by default Blender treats image texture as having a vector of UV. Whew, huh. So these are the first three, really simple ones. Next comes the object, camera, window, and reflection. I'll show you the reflection one, and Shivam will guide you through the window, camera, and the object. And then finally we'll be going through the from dupli. Alright, so the reflection, this is a really nice one. So what it is used to is to fake reflection. So during the research time, I had no idea how to use that, so I asked on my Facebook to artists, and a guy named Cedric Van der Kellen. You can check him out, he's awesome. He's a lighting artist. Then we have our great Rico Celier, and another guy, Joy Bennett. So these three people helped me how to actually explain the reflection. So reflection is firstly to give a fake reflection, and something like this. Alright, so what it does is it actually stretches the UVs at the corner and shows it around your mesh, and this can be used to reflect from HDRIs. So it's best used for HDRIs. And for example, if we have image texture over here, so if you plug in HDRI, which I have over here, got it somewhere from the internet, and boom, you can see this looks weird. Oh well, why did I delete them? I need to just hide them. Okay, so there we are. So now you can see we have this weird looking UV sphere, and boom, we have this weird looking reflection thingy. So it doesn't look right, and that is because the UV sphere is having a different kind of projection. So we'll change the projection type to sphere, and now you can see, ta-da! It acts like a mirror ball, and it reflects the HDR falling on that. So this is very close to something like this, and just remove that, add in new material, and make this glossy. I'm just showing you how similar these are actually. And I'm gonna add in well, let me just do it from here, and texture one. Okay, so that is how we add thing using Control T. Okay, alright, so ta-da! This looks pretty much similar, just mapping is different. So from different angle, you'll see these are pretty much same. So the door is widely open over here and over here as well. Okay, so these are quite similar-ish. So you can actually play around with that, and so that's how the reflection is working. So these two looks quite same. Just the thing is, it is actually faking the reflection, so you won't be receiving a reflection from some other object. For example, the gloss is actually reflecting this as well, though it's taking more of your RAM to calculate the glossiness. This is not actually taking much of your RAM, so it helps fake the reflections. For if your object is really small at the corner of the scene and it's reflecting the whole HDRI and anything else, you can use this thing to fake the environment reflection. So that is how reflection is working, and this is really awesome. Okay, so next we'll be moving on to the object, camera, and window.
Okay, so now we'll be working on the object. So let me just create another object, a cube, and let me add the same material. Oh, this one, yeah. Okay, so object is basically another type of generated only, and it does something different. Some slight differences are there. So firstly, instead of an image texture, I'll use a checker. I'll first attach a generator to it. Okay, let me first uneven its scaling. So if your mesh has some uneven scaling like this and I apply its scale, you can see that this face is smaller than this, and if I press Shift Z, then here it gets stretched out, whereas here it isn't. That's what generator does. It stretches out the textures in some places, but if you plug in the object here, then you can see it's uniform throughout the bulk. So sometimes it provides better result, more uniform results than the generated ones, like you can see here. So that's what the object does. Now the next are the camera and the window, which are again similar. So let me move on to another layer, and this time I'll add a plane. Oh, where is it? Now instead of a checker texture, this time I'll use a gradient texture, and if I plug in the camera here, then you can see it provides a 0 to 1 image. In fact, it provides some negative values over here which get converted to 0 for the camera, and how is the 2D projection of camera on this object. So here it is 0 and over here it's 1, and if you rotate, then it rotates along with it because the camera is rotating the view from which you're looking. And the window it also does a similar thing, just it provides from 0 to 1 instead of all the negative values that were there in earlier ones. So now if I just create a big render border, and let me see if I can. So like here it is 0, and now you can see like over here it is 0 and here it becomes 1. So it provides a 0 to 1 image of this window, 0 to 1 value, and the camera, it's negative over here and 0 somewhere in the middle, and then 1 over here, and it's actually quite a small blending, very small, while window is much more smoother. So yeah, that's how what it does, but I don't think it's much used anywhere.
Okay, so now moving back to the object and from dupli thing. So this is completely weird. Let's go. Okay, now get lost. Now if we add in a UV sphere and get that same material back, which is this, okay, just name the material something like texture coordinate, something like that. Okay, that's working nice. Okay, now back to your object, and this only works with the object plugged in over here. That is what our observation is, and if it actually works with some other vector, then do tell us in the comment section. We'll be glad to know about that. And we just don't need that much right now. We just connect that object. Okay, where's that? Alright. So, press Ctrl V, and what's this? I don't know. Ctrl V, border, and we can see, tada! Okay, now if I add in empty plane axis, and I grab this just above the surface of the UV sphere, and that looks nice. Okay, and if I select the empty from here, now if I press Shift Z, you will see we don't have the blue. Why? Because the blue axis is now getting affected by the empty. So now if I grab this, the higher I grab this, the lesser will be the blue visible. Well, actually, after you move away from the surface, the blue will be completely lost. And as I go down, you can see we have our blue falling into the scene, and that is how it's getting affected. Now, if I move it to a random place without selecting any axis in specific, you will see what you will get is a random thing. Okay, so it's actually moved up on the Z and the Y, so we only are left with the X. And if I even move that to somewhere like here, we'll even get rid of the red. Now if I get this back over here, now you can see the green and the red blending in because the empty is inside the UV sphere again, and now it moves on from here, and so the red and green value are now dominating, and they're mixing up to give you a yellow sort of color. And if I blend in the blue as well, you can see it's working quite nice. Okay, so now you have this white color over here, so all the colors are blending in quite nicely, and we are getting a white color. That's why. Right, so this is how the object is working. So you can use this to add decal. So the way to do decal, you can read it on here, the Blender Guru site. Oh, it's down. Where is that? And there it is. So you can play around with this node setup. We'll be not discussing it, and even just see it. It's quite awesome. Okay. Now next we're gonna move to the form dupli. So for that, what I'm gonna do is we're going to use our particle system. So what it does is it actually uses object's UV coordinate and puts it on plane. It uses the UV coordinate of its parent object. That's what is written in the documentation. I can't actually explain it in more detail, but I can show you what it does is so we're gonna have in a hair, and we're gonna also need something like this. So it actually works with hair being an object because a curve will not work quite good. So the mesh we're gonna do is gonna add in, oops, sorry, not this. We're gonna add in a cone, and let's just make it low poly, cut low poly. Okay, that looks good, and scale down really small. Okay, so that looks like a grass thing. All right. And that'll do for now. Okay, so now I'm gonna add in our cone over here, and you can see our particles are looking quite nice, and okay, by 90, and tada. Okay, so it looks good, not quite. Grabs X, something like that. Okay. Alright, so this is how our grassy field is looking like, and where's our lamp? Move that to 1, and you can see we have our grass looking thing over here. And the way to make it work is we're gonna have our UV of this one unwrapped, and that is where the thing is actually working. So we're going to use our image, which is our Blender logo over here, and so this is unwrapped with this Blender logo, and we'll go to layer 3, and we're going to add in a material on this one. So again, text coordinate. Okay, looks quite good, and it's turn on from dupli, and we're going to select the object which is emitting this particle, which is our plane 001 in this case. So plane 001, right? Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is go to layer 3 and make this to UV. Okay, and I'm gonna add in a texture image over here, and that's going to get in there, and we're gonna select that Blender socket logo over here. So this is how it's gonna work. So then it's not quite visible over here, but if you go to layer 1, ta-da, boom. So this looks quite good. Make that something like that, and unwrap it again and scale. Oh, there it is, so you can see. Yay, so it's kind of working weirdly. Over here, and that looks quite nice. Okay, so you actually can't quite see it nicely. We need more hair over here, so let's just add in something like 5,000, and ta-da! You can see our Blender logo quite nicely over there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select and make this repeat to clip or extend. I'll go with extend. Okay, so that's how we get only one single Blender logo over there. So this is now what it's doing is all the hair which is under this portion of the stuff. What's this called? This plane, the Blender logo which is somewhere over here. Now the color which is of the logo will be taken into consideration by the hair particles, and that will look quite good. So that's why we are getting the orange color over here, white over here, and blue for the text. So this is how the grass is actually taking the color of this thing. What's that? The texture. So that's it. That's all the things covered in for today's tutorial. And that concludes texture coordinate node. You can read about that in more details on here, and go over here to input. Let's just show you. You can go to blender.org/manual. Oops, sorry, something like that. Okay, and then you can scroll down over here and go to render, then to nodes, and then you can choose whichever you want. For example, you need to go to input and texture coordinate, and you can read all about that over here. So it's awesome. You can make these kinds of things. So and yeah, so that is it for this tutorial, and we have completed the texture coordinate node. In our next video we'll be going through another input node which is also full of vectors. So stay tuned to see that video, and you can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Blenderphile, and we hope to see you in our next video. Till then, happy blending and try out all the nodes. It is actually awesome. So see ya.